Hi, I'm Pat Carmody from EP&T Global, and I'm actually the sales director here at EP&T.
Pat, thanks for joining me today. I just want to ask you a couple of questions about your experience with Sales Scout. But before we get to that, can you just describe to us in your own words, what does the team look like at EP&T Global that you're in charge of? And what were some of the challenges you were having with, the sales development function as you were trying to grow a pipeline for the sales team?
We are a global provider of energy management software, and we have a global team of about 60 people. In the sales side of things, we have probably about eight people in total at different, sales support, sales function. The biggest struggle we had was getting in front of customers and getting more leads and getting more meetings. And it's just a lot of emails, chasing emails. A lot of that groundwork wasn't being done. And that's kind of prompted us to look for solutions.
Yeah. And can you talk me through maybe some of the conversations that you were having in sales meetings with the team? Some of the themes that were kind of bubbling up to the top of those conversations that drove some urgency to kind of give attention to this top of funnel activity and the constant need to be able to talk to the market and create the pipeline?
Yeah. In the meetings, basically, we were, particularly in Australia, I'll just start with Australia. In the Australian side of things, we were just looking at to get more meetings, how to get more meetings. So the natural discussion was what verticals to focus on. And then secondly, should we hire someone to that focus? So we were definitely exploring, and even to this point where the CEO was actually, I don't think we officially advertised, but they did start looking seriously for some more sales development people within the staff, and what that costs and what that do. And they reached out to myself about that.
Yeah. Can you give us a little bit about, and you don't have to go into too much depth about the products and services, but I suppose what a typical sales cycle would look like, from, building awareness in the customer base to driving an engagement to negotiating a deal. What is sort of the time frames that you would see in your team?
Yeah, it varies like a lot of companies, but we're an energy management platform. So we talk to basically property owners. So generally some of your larger players in town, which are sometimes a little bit more difficult to get in front of, and the sales cycle tends to extend when you're dealing with bigger players. So these people who own large assets, mainly commercial assets, we would be reaching out to them. And then as far as the sales cycle and length of the sales cycle, it was working anywhere from 2 to 3 months up to, could be a year, to be quite honest with you. But, generally speaking, it's a 3 to 4 month turnaround before they say yay or nay. They want to go ahead with it.
Yeah. And how do you describe your buying committee? I mean, are we talking about C-level executives down to middle management, or is it more junior than that? I mean, how difficult is it to engage with the types of organizations and the types of logos that you want to acquire?
Which with the larger REITs, it's definitely at the upper management level. So we're dealing with upper management levels to make that decision, or using our energy management software. When you're dealing with smaller property owners, i.e. someone who might own 5 or 6 properties, or maybe only 1 or 2, then you're dealing with a C-level, but the decision making, you are dealing with the owner or the decision maker or the CEO. So again, that varies depending on how large the organization is.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. So, I mean, is there anything that you might want to say about the decision-making process? And feel free to be as transparent here as you like. You went into market, you were looking for a solution. Sales Scout was obviously shortlisted as a potential vendor or preferred vendor in being able to drive a solution here. What were some of the pros and cons when you were sort of going through your due diligence, do you think?
Yeah, well, we were kind of, I guess, technically naive or behind, I guess is the best way of saying it. We weren't using a lot of the technology that was available. And if I had to be honest, is a little bit embarrassing of what we didn't know. So we first went through a kind of an education process to learn about all the different players. And when I learned about all the different players, i.e. I went to obviously Sales Scout, but I went to some providers in the US, some providers coming out of India, which was, there seemed to be quite a few. And we kind of really educated our whole ourselves on the industry, on what's available, on roughly the cost structure available. And yeah, we did a lot of homework. It kind of was fortuitous. It happened during the COVID lockdown period, so I had a little bit more time to actually do more investigations than I normally would, and we weren't chasing as much. So it was a one benefit is we looked at the technology and for the best technology partners.
Yeah. And okay, great. So we're obviously talking today because you ended up becoming a customer of Sales Scout. And you know, can you talk to me about your experience to date and your types of things that have been, I suppose, you know, how much impact have we made for you individually and also the broader team in terms of being able to solve the problems that you said that you went out to market to solve, I guess?
Well, not number one, I'd say number one, as far as the technology goes, I'm a true believer in the technology. You need some type of email partner to be sitting out there. And it's number two, it's much more effective than hiring someone. So you need the machine behind you, sending out emails, doing the follow-up, and then you need to follow up yourself, which maybe we need to do a better job on ourselves. But the machine needs to be behind you, working, sending out emails, working that. So number one, believer in that technology. The one big difference that Sales Scout had was one, you had the dropping the voicemail. No one else was dropping the voicemails, which was a key differentiator. You seem to be a little bit more hands-on. I think you're more of from my I see it, more of a boutique provider. I felt like I was talking to some of the decision makers, and I just felt a little bit more comfortable in that sense. I mean, I wasn't anti using a US provider. I wasn't anti using an indie provider. I really wasn't. It didn't make any difference to me. I wanted someone I could kind of trust and feel I could work with. And I'm still learning about this whole space, and someone that I could talk to as a team, kind of you're now part of our team. And I feel like I can talk to you as part of the team and saying, well, that doesn't work, or is this working? And it's a conversation instead of someone that's, telling this is what our platform does and this is what our platform does do, and good luck,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's obviously great to hear. And also, I suppose, is there any wins that you could talk about?
Yeah.
They might be concrete wins or more qualitative, but good conversations, good meetings, good demos that you've had as a result.
Yeah. Well, bottom line, we've gotten into. I mean, we need to get into these big REITs and big property owners, and sometimes it's really hard unless you're really diligent. The machine is diligent. Pat Carmody and his team aren't as diligent. It's just human nature. It really is human nature. So one is we've gotten into 4 big accounts. One a data center, one a software company, another one of the REITs that was kind of ignoring us. And there's one other there too that I can't think of off the top of my head. So we have gotten into four companies that had we not used you, we would not have gotten in there. Now, and then comparing that to a junior salesperson would probably, it takes a long time. I just don't believe they would have been as productive and wouldn't have sent out as many emails and followed up as well. One thing we need to do now as a team is start making more voice calls and personal calls to the hotter leads. And again, you just need to be focused on that. And that's where we've dropped the ball, not necessarily Sales Scout, but that's where EP&T has dropped the ball. So we need to work on that.
Yeah. I think remembering the state of your account, I believe you've also got some help now to do some of the legwork with regard to what an SDR function.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. So we're using Sales Scout, and then now we're using a junior salesperson. When I say junior, like first year a couple years out of high school, really, and just going through some of the leads, following up, looking at the Sales Scout platform, and really we want her to become this Sales Scout expert and really learn the platform and manage that platform, and let me focus on some of the bigger things that we do. But again, I just can't say how important it is. You need the machine behind you still sending out these emails and keeping contact. Even if it's not asking for meetings, it's just educating a certain market segment on what you're doing and where you are in the marketplace. So
Awesome.
Again, hand on heart, I'm just a massive believer in the technology, and we just got to start using that technology better and thinking a little bit more strategically about maybe educating customers than per se just say, meet with me, can I have a meeting? Work on that a slow churn to get meetings, but educate them and then ask for meetings. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And I one last question, which is, if you were going to recommend us to anybody that's potentially watching this video, is there anything that you would say in terms of, making a decision, for or against working with a sales development partner?
Well, I think I would highly recommend that you give Sales Scout a chance. And again, one of the big highlights I liked about it was you gave us the opportunity to do a 3-month agreement. And you do need a bit of time. Maybe 6 months is probably better, but 3 months was what we asked for, and that was very powerful. And that really helped make us decision, because I didn't want to lock into something I didn't understand completely. Now I do understand and realize that we can continue to work together and add more verticals onto the platform. So again, I'd highly recommend it. And it's almost something you have to try if you're not doing anything, you almost have to do something in this space, because you need to learn about this technology, because it's not going away. It's only going to enhance. There's going to be more sales tools, and your competitors, I can guarantee, are doing it. So I feel like I'm not such a dinosaur as I was a year ago.